Yo, we made it to another Wednesday night. Vibe Rant, the maybe most fun thing that happens all week for me personally. I don't know. There's a lot of competition, but what's up, Dan Shukis, ShukeDaddy? How you doing?
What's good, Chance? I'm doing good. How about you, man?
I'm pretty excited for this one. There was already a lot of participation before we hit go. I think I've got like a million astrology memes in the call-in line, so that's fun.
Nice, nice.
But what's new with you? We haven't talked for a while. I think the last time was on your show, right?
Yeah, you talked to me on my show when I was going through my like new age questioning and like
You were
all
about
of
to go
the
Christian.
about in theory. So yeah, that it's been a long trip since then, but that man, that was like the beginning of I think that was the beginning of the fall when you were on my show. And then you were the last episode before I took a pretty substantial break and then came back. So it's kind of how it goes with me. I'm kind of like firing out episodes sometimes and then totally like pulled back at other times, but trying to just keep trucking. So
Keep
so
on
yeah.
trucking. Well, what have you been doing in that break? Like just focusing on the Moonstone Quill? Tell people about that because I've seen your band live and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. That's a whole see, this is where I'm at lately. I've got a day job which is pretty pretty matrixy, pretty like it's not corporate, it's like a small business, but it's a very like 9 to 5, get your health insurance paid, get your salary and I've got that. I've got Cosmic Keys, which is my podcast, and then I've got Moonstone Quill, which is my band. And I'm so at the end of the day, I'm so grateful to have those 3 things, and I'm for different reasons, I'm just, like, stoked on those 3 things and grateful, but constantly, I'm just like, "The fuck" like, I hate editing this shit. I've got a show tonight," or I hate my job, like, I hate working late and getting all these calls, blah, blah, blah. I've got my podcast to do." And, like, I'm trying very often to just be like, no complaining. You're grateful to have all 3 of these things. So honestly, those 3 things are really taking up a lot of my time, like my Matrix day job, my band, and my podcast.
Fuck the
And
Matrix day job.
yeah.
Just do music and podcasts out.
Well, I
I'll
gotta
love
tell
that.
you, I've done like the freelancy lifestyle a lot. And this is probably the first time that I'm like making matrixy money. And I I really am grateful for it. And when I'm thinking about like abundance, like we talk new age abundance, like when I was doing too much creative stuff, like the abundance was just not there, you know? So I I need like this having a matrixy job is at the moment really grounding me. And if I didn't have it, in my experience, I'm like sleeping in, sitting around, like dilly dallying way too much. But when I'm my schedule is like really blocked out now, I'm just like I have to fucking just like show up, and it kind of puts fire under my ass. So it's at
That
least
old
for now.
Saturnian structure.
Yeah, I mean, because I like when I started the show, I was straight up living in a freaking coach house, like squatting almost. Had all the time in the world to do all these things, and now that I don't, I'm like, I don't miss that. You know, it could be because in the background, for me at least, it's like constant financial stress and worry, and just like when we talk about like spiritual things and abundance and stuff like that, when I really put it into practice, like having a matrixy job and saving money for the first time ever, really, when I'm 34, like is paying off. So it's counterintuitive to what you would expect. Usually I would be like, go for like shoot for your dreams, um, honor your creative work and all that. I still think that, but for me personally, it's just been surprisingly better with a day job. So I can only speak for myself though, you know.
Well, there wouldn't be so many people doing it if there weren't some upsides, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
and
totally.
So I'm gonna say hi to some people in the chat. First on the Rockfin side, Kaylee's over there, and on the YouTube side, we've got Rachel, who you met at our meetup.
Yeah, nice. Hey,
She
Rachel.
says your band is really good live. True story.
Thank you.
J-Lo, this is my story. Everyone else that's lurking in the chat, say hi. Would love to pop your text up on the screen and all that. But Kaylee, who is also an astrologer, wants to know your sun, moon, and rising and your preferred system. I'll let you answer.
Sun, moon, and rising. Sun, Leo. Moon, Scorpio. Rising, Scorpio. House system is whole sign houses with the tropical zodiac. That's what I use. I'm not dismissing the other ones, but that's what I use. So
yeah. Do you have any reason other than it's just what you've always used, or do you have some kind of philosophical justification for that? Not to dismiss, but like, you know,
well, it's really hard.
Why.
Like as far as like tropical versus sidereal, and for those that don't know, sidereal is a zodiac that's more related to the actual constellations in the sky. So like right now, actually like literally right now where I'm at, if I look up, I can see Saturn and Jupiter kind of setting in the west. According to my zodiac, the tropical zodiac, they're both in the sign of Aquarius right now. But like according to the actual constellations, which the zodiac is based off, they're like near the stars of, I guess it would be Pisces. Or, I'm blanking out. Is it forwards or backwards? Because I would be a Libra. So yeah, it's backwards. So it would be more in the actual constellation of Sagittarius or of like Capricorn as opposed to Aquarius. That's what I meant to say. So because the precession of the equinoxes happens over the course of a really long time, and right now during the spring equinox, it's more Pisces getting towards Aquarius. But according to the tropical zodiac, you draw the border at 0 Aries on that spring equinox. So my system, the tropical system, is based more on like the symbolism is based on the seasons. Like the symbolism of Aries doesn't change when the constellation Aries floats away from that equinox point.
That's kind of my reason for liking tropical too. Just that,
yeah,
the signs, constellations are only conceptual and metaphors anyway, and what they're metaphors about is processes in the natural world and the seasons. So
yeah,
to me, it's like, well, if just because you shifted the paintings that you have around your house to different walls doesn't change what the painting has in it.
exactly. That's a really good point.
But that's not a diss to sidereal, because I totally get the other argument too.
Well, no,
like,
and
we're talking about what's actually there and what energies are present in the configuration of heavenly bodies oscillating, and
totally.
There's
and
something
like
there too.
Like you can like I sometimes use sidereal elements, like the last lunar, what was it? The lunar eclipse that happened at 27 degrees Scorpio Taurus. At around 27 degrees Taurus is the fixed star Algol, which is like the in the constellation Perseus. Perseus is holding Medusa's head, and Algol is like her eye, I think. So it's like the really demonic fixed star.
Isn't
But that
right
doesn't really,
where the full moon eclipse right now we just went through was that?
yeah,
like,
the
right on
one that
eye?
was like 2 weeks ago. It was like 2 Thursdays ago.
Pretty
So
gnarly.
yeah, that like Algol.
Did you hide? I know you hide during eclipses.
I didn't know. I don't even fucking like I'm like so out of it sometimes. I'm like, when was that? But I remember I woke up like I was like, I want to wake up and take a picture of the lunar eclipse. And I like woke up and like didn't even put glasses on and just like stumbled outside and like pointed my phone up and took like a really crappy photo that's like a dot. But I was like half asleep. So but yeah, the whole thing with the two zodiacs, like I said, you can say, okay, it's it's a full moon lunar eclipse at 27 Scorpio and Taurus. That's all tropical. But then you could say conjunct Algol, which is technically sidereal and has nothing to do with that zodiac. But I don't know. It's really tricky, and I'm constantly like testing and questioning astrology. But if you stick to one system, you're following patterns one way or the other anyways. So the zodiac itself is just mathematical. So when it's like a 90-degree square, that's a 90-degree square no matter what two signs you say it's happening in, because it's really based on the 360-degree wheel. So if you really wanted to just throw the whole thing out the window with both sidereal or tropical, you could simply study the aspects to planets and not care what sign they're in. You would just say, hey, it's significant that they're at a 90-degree angle, no matter what zodiac you use. Or you could say it's significant that they're right next to each other, because it doesn't matter. Like if you don't say like the Saturn Jupiter conjunction last December, tropical said that it was at 0 degrees Aquarius, but sidereal would say it was in Capricorn. So like it's one of those technical things where you're like, oh, astrology is so fun, and then you have to like answer the tough questions and like think about what you actually believe about it. And my belief is that like any system can work as long as it's as long as you're paying attention to patterns. Like you could, I don't know, you could say in 1962, the Saturn Jupiter conjunction happened at blank degrees Aquarius, or another astrologer would say it happened at blank degrees of Capricorn. But as long as you're still making that connection that the same event happened today and in 1962, it's still a pattern. It's just like the zodiac stuff and the signs are more like adding poetry and adding like esoteric meaning to stuff, but the movement of the planets is to a T predictable, timeable. They always move at the same speed. So that's like more numbers and more kind of left brain, or no, yeah, left brain.
Yeah.
While the zodiacs is more the right brain, like poetic conclusions. So I don't know if that makes sense.
I think maybe there's some kind of similar dichotomy or dialectic between tropical and sidereal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, my thing with the sidereal is like each constellation is not equally 30 degrees, no matter where you start the starting point at. So even if you say, oh, my sidereal zodiac is more correct because 0 degrees Aries is actually on Aries, well, either way, it's still based on splitting each sign up into 30 degrees and making it mathematical and symmetrical. But in reality, if you saw a zodiac that didn't have equally spaced signs and it was more true to the size of the sign, then Cancer would be really small, Virgo would be really long, and it loses that like sacred geometry, like angular study that you're doing when you're talking about aspects in astrology. Like if things make a trine, that has to be based on degrees. So if it's a true sidereal that's not equally spaced out, then it would, I don't know, I don't even know how you would measure aspects. There would be something else going on, but I'm kind of just thinking out loud now. This is sort of like
right,
super advanced, but yeah.
You know what? One thing I've been considering about the possibility of infusing objects and physical artifacts with intent and with meaning. That there's been even like, government has studied it. The idea of creating an amulet or a talisman in the magical or the occult world, as that's a common practice, is actually effective at causing some sort of physical change in probabilities in the world, right? So just as I won't say devil's advocate, because I'm not necessarily saying one system is the right one anyway, but
Mhm.
with sidereal as a set of constellations that maybe didn't intrinsically have a specific meaning, but over time imbued with meaning by all the people who have studied it, all the philosophers, all the astrologers, even people that are into tarot would still be also tangentially infusing particular symbolic archetypes with an intent or an idea. So I wonder about that because there's also all the shifting and the fuzzy fuckery with the archetypes that we get in Hollywood and how we see the darker polarity of them oftentimes as the one that's emphasized and expressed. Like most movies now, the hero is like a dark hero. It's typical. So I
Or
don't
a
know about
trans.
or oh yeah, right. So Gabriel wants to know what instrument parentheses S do you play? So do you play more than one?
Um, Mainly guitar. I play harmonica on some songs with the band
You play voice.
and voice and a little bit of keys. I have some like keyboards.
I'd hope so. Your show's called Cosmic Keys.
Right, yeah.
You need some
So
synthy keyboards. That's
I
like
yeah,
double
that's
meaning.
what I'm saying. When I started the show and I had fucking more time than I could handle to work on stuff, I was like just like noodling around on the synthesizers and just making like random songs for the podcast. And I haven't haven't been doing that as much. I want to get back into it, but yeah, I use Ableton Live as the program, and it's pretty fun. It's you can just fuck around and make trippy weird noise with it. So
Yeah, I want to talk more about the band stuff though. Like describe the
yeah.
music, what the experience is like with your bandmates, and you know, you guys were getting around in the onset of Cootie's life too. So where a lot
We
of bands
started in
gave
Cootie's
up at
life.
that point, you guys were like, this seems like a good time to start.
Well, yeah, and it's like so I guess where to start. I really got into playing music in Chicago originally, and I took lessons at the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago. And this was around like 2014, 2015, and I basically became friends with a bunch of really like DIY artist type people. Um and I still like love those people, but like over the course of time, because we're thinking 2016, the political atmosphere in a city like Chicago, basically I was like I ended up in basically communist fucking like hipster circles that like really red pilled me at the time. But like so again, I like learned a lot from those types of people who were really DIY and artistic and creative, and they were like true artists, and I was actually really happy I got to meet all of them. But then sadly, in those years between like 2015 and 2019, everything got more toxic and politicized and SJWized, and um I could just see the mind virus I could just see back then the sort of the stubborn not stubbornness, just the way this cult was forming of the woke, you know. I could just see that there was like certain things, it was like you are ostracized, you are canceled if you do something, you know, you are a racist for something. And we're talking like all these like rock and roll, like punk rock people who are kind of like fake liberal but kind of predatory on women, you know, like a
Like
lot of
Rage with
that
the
was
Machine.
you know in the movie Forrest Gump when they're with like Jenny and in DC, and there's that like communist guy who's like for the revolution and blah blah blah, but then he like slaps her, you know. There was a lot of that, like a lot of like leftist extreme communists, kind of like fake feminist men, and just like it was in Chicago, so it was like really it was diverse, and I liked the diversity. That was a huge appeal. I was like, all these people are so cool from so many different backgrounds. They're actually artists and we're supporting each other. But then it was just like woke. And then I was like, get me the fuck out of here. And so then I moved to Colorado at the very beginning of 2020 for a few different reasons. But basically, I kind of like cut my teeth in Chicago with like that crowd that ended up being very leftist. And then when I moved to Colorado, it's like a ski town. Everybody just loves bluegrass and the Grateful Dead and jam bands. And like nobody gave a like people in Chicago wanted to hear like feminist, queer, trans, punk noise machine and not acoustic Dan.
That sounds really good.
And then but then when I moved here, everyone like was all about the style I was playing, I guess, just as a solo person. And I met my bandmate Nate at an open mic, and he's younger. He's like 25. I'm 34. But we hit it off then pre-COVID in like January of 2020. And then COVID happened. So from like March to the summertime of 2020, didn't talk to any musicians, wasn't able to go out and play. I was painting a lot at that point, but not really doing anything musical. Then I got a shitty day job just to get a job because I couldn't collect unemployment, although I got like laid off as like a COVID whatever non-essential person. Still, I was non-essential and didn't get unemployment, so I'd like burned through my savings for those few months. Then I got a house painting job. And then funny enough, it was during the eclipse in Sagittarius in my second house of money, which we're having the repeat of that this Friday, basically. I got laid off from that job and was just like, fuck, like I was like destroyed. But then I just started being like, fuck it, I'm going to open mics. I'm just going to go to open mics with Nate all the time. And me and Nate just played like 3-4 nights a week at random open mics, and we were getting tips and getting free drinks, and it was fun. And then then fall of 2020, we formed a band like randomly. So it actually, before we got there, I was like, it's funny because me and you, Chance, hung out in Colorado Springs when you came out here. But randomly, I was like wheeling and dealing on Facebook, and it was one of those things where like the daemon was like taking over. It was like, damn, get on Facebook Marketplace and buy some instruments and shit. And I was just like wheeling and dealing. And then one day I found all these deals in Colorado Springs on Facebook Marketplace. And then one was a mandolin, one with these huge PA speakers that my like desk is formed of now. And the third was like a camera that I rarely use now. But I was like, fuck it, I'm driving to Colorado Springs. And Nate was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why? And I was like, don't ask me questions. I'm going to Colorado Springs. Got the mandolin, got the camera and the PA speakers, came back. And then I had to go to work. And Nate was just like, he's like, yo, I've been just playing your mandolin, dude. Like, it's so fun. Like, look. And he just like picked it up and could play it, basically. So he's like really good, really has a strong musical instincts and intuition. And he just took my mandolin that I bought there and just started playing it, and then bought a nicer one. And then within like probably 2 weeks, he was like it was enough to have me playing guitar, him playing mandolin. And then we had another guitarist who was originally playing with us who could do more solo stuff than I was able to. And then Maureen is the fiddle player, and she just hopped on board and she can just play on top of anybody. So then all of a sudden we just, in October of 2020, just started playing all these shows, and it just clicked. And I was like, thank God I like randomly went to Colorado Springs to get a mandolin and then didn't even use it for myself.
I love it that your holy guardian angel led you there. Basically.
Dude, it was total. I mean, I'm sure you can relate, but it's one of those situations where you're like, why was I jacked up for no reason? And why did I just get like why did I do that? But it's one of those, it doesn't happen all that often to me, but when it does, I'm like, yes. I mean, something was pushing me in that direction, because I
Well,
never
I think
played that
it's
thing.
seriously multiple spirit teams working together. That's why it was so loud, because like your bandmates probably had spirit guides that were also like, Dan has to do this for it all to work out. So they're all just like, go there. And I think that because the band was immediately cohesive and coherent. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, I assume because I saw you guys so early in to your whole thing, and I mean, it was really good. That was
thanks,
super
man.
fun night. Lindsay was
Yeah,
there from Rogue Ways. Her dude Johnny Yeti Slang. Rachel's in
yeah,
the
dude.
chat just
That was
now.
super. And then Nate's other band. So Nate's other band played after us, and they were like funky electric jam band. But yeah, we played like we literally just played the month of October 2020, and just like burned through these shows, and then boom, right around Halloween, they was lockdown number 2. So then you no places were booking bands for like November, December, January, February. And then in that time, I mean, I went through all this. In retrospect, it was like major astro transits. That's how I was like self-diagnosing. But I got COVID. I had this job that I hated, um, and then was applying to all these jobs. And then me and Nate, I was being an asshole to him. We were roommates and we weren't getting along. And I was just being a dick because I'm older and I'm can be a dickhead. And so then we had this dramatic, like, me and Nate almost didn't make it as like bandmates, but then luckily I was just like, dude, I'm so sorry, like I fucked up. Like COVID kicked my ass, like I'm in a bad place basically. And that's what happens. Like we couldn't play music for however many months, and we were just sitting around this bullshit like COVID situation. And then luckily and then immediately when we like made up, he was like, all right, we have to practice for like 5 days because St. Patty's Day is coming up. And then we played St. Patty's Day at Burley, the place you went to. So that was like our first show back after that COVID separation. And then after that point,
You made it through the dark night of the band's soul.
yeah, and I mean, it had to do with this COVID shit, but I mean, honestly, out here, it's not that tough to like get gigs and stuff, and kind of like,
Dude, when I was in Denver, I couldn't even find a single men's restroom. They
why?
were
Because
all
they're,
unisex. They were
oh
all
yeah,
unisex or omnisex or non-sex, whatever. I just
right.
felt bad for both sides with that. Hey, can we do some questions from the audience?
Yeah, of course.
Q&A. All right. Slick Dissident asked, he heard the Cosmic Keys crew was considering making their own tarot deck. How's that project coming along? Is that the one that Scarlett was working on, or is there one more recently than that?
Scarlett made a tarot deck like a while
Yeah, that
ago.
was a while back,
She's
right?
not on the show anymore though, but um I would love to. I'm technically working on a 2022 wall calendar.
Oh yeah, this is a good segue to that. Like that
Yeah,
question is a good
and
lead in.
dude,
I totally want that. I totally
yeah,
want that.
I'm gonna do it. It's just like what I'm saying. Like,
Let me pay you for it.
I was gonna gift it, but like, yeah, I have the printer, or like the printing company picked, the template ready. I've been adding to it. I put a good amount in on Thanksgiving, and then it fucking lost a good amount of work. So I got a little beaten down by that loss, and then I was like gonna work on it last night, and then maybe tonight, but then you asked me to do this tonight. I was like, fuck it, I'm doing Vibe Rant.
Thanks for that, by the way, because the other one I had lined up wasn't going to work out in the perfect way that it could if it happens next week. So
No, this is actually better because the band has 4 shows next week. It's called Uller Fest next week. Uller is like the Scandinavian god of snow, in
Sweet.
Breckenridge has
I
long
like me
before
some
like
heathen action.
paganism was cool. Like Breckenridge has been celebrating Uller and I'm like so secretly like so into it.
Why
But then
secretly?
yeah,
Just go full
well,
heathen.
not even. I'm open about it, but I'm like, when I say I'm secretly into it, I mean like I think Uller's real, and I like try to work with him.
You'd have to
But,
in
but
Breckenridge.
most people are just like it's like a mascot or whatever. But yeah.
Okay, so just to go back to the calendar, when that happens, how do we make sure we know about it?
I'm gonna make some announcements and put it on
Will
my
you announce it
website.
on my Telegram so that I
Yes,
remember?
I will. Yeah.
Okay. And will you make your own Telegram channel and group chat so that I can join that? Because
I'm
I
gonna
need
join
more.
yours and feel like
You're already in mine.
I joined. It's nothing against anything, but I just like am not used to using Telegram and like
Yeah, get it when you
but
make your
I
own
know
channel,
it's
you'll
like
get it. You'll be like, oh, this is simple. And then just
yeah.
anything you were gonna put on Instagram anyway, put that shit on Telegram.
Yours is super active though. Like when I have looked at yours and stuff, there's
It's the
like
party
you're in
room.
it, like Lindsay's in it. Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Yeah, a lot of content creators and artists and other general genius researchers. What I always liken it to is instead of using the dead internet, Google, that is complete fake anyway in terms of what you
Yeah.
get as answers.
Who would have thought
Kaylee's
that
like,
would
join
happen?
us in the chat. But instead of asking questions to the machine, you can ask living human beings who are going to answer through experience. Like today, I'm on YouTube right now, but there was a particular shooting that it starts with a S and ends with an Andy. And it may have to
Yes.
do with crooks or hooks, but there, I was like, anyone got, I was talking to my mom and my sister and my dad. We have like a group, ever since Scamdemic started, we have like a separate group, like just us group text message thread where they're sharing their red pills.
Dude, that's like my
And
family.
today was the first time where they could entertain like, hey, some of these shooters might be MK Ultra mind control slaves. And my mom's like, I've heard of MK Ultra. And I was like, it's happening.
Dude, isn't that crazy? Like
It's so crazy.
I'm not in a group text like
but I had
that.
to tell them about the aforementioned situation.
Oh,
Is even
right.
full on fakery. Like that some of it's just straight up fake.
I
And
mean,
the Telegram group, I asked anyone got like some resources on that, and Sean just immediately let me
dude,
know.
yeah, I've seen on your channel and other channels like shit that you won't see on, or just those links to like random like BitChute videos. It's like, damn, there's like deeper and deeper and deeper things out there, and it's like the Google channels or the Facebook channels will not let that fly. And I feel like I'm getting I'm having the problem, like I put all these stupid memes up and then the story ends after 24 hours and then Instagram notifies me like an exclamation point. It's like, this thing you posted that's already disappeared is like misinformation. Do you want to delete it? And I'm just like, it's deleted. You can't look at it. But I'm realizing every time that happens, it knocks off like 5 or 6 followers. And then so now it's like I have to like delete that immediately, or I feel like it's like adding to the shadow ban. But all of that just makes
Yeah.
me think that all these platforms are going to total shit. Like Twitter.
They're gone, dude.
Yeah.
Zuckergram, Fedbook, sayonara. Like I quit caring about that. I do the bare minimum now as a responsible show host to like
Yeah.
at least post that something happened over there in case someone looks for me there. But like interacting is pretty non-existent. And Telegram, not to just keep doing an ad for Telegram, but it's a whole different feel. It's pretty much pure
Yeah.
communication. You don't have a profile, there's no posturing of the likes and dislikes of what you follow or what channels you're in and group chats. That's all just kind of private to you unless you look at their profile and they share groups with you and then they're in the same group. But it's just wicked cool. And Martin on Rockfin says his damn flip phone won't let him on the Telegram.
My flip, I wish I had a flip
Hey
phone.
dude, that's hardcore. Yeah, Jenny says
I'm such an
1,000,
NPC.
100 times bonus cool points will catch you on the flip. That's a good one.
I'm
Yeah, it
so
is bonus
NPC. I
points
have
to rock
two
a flip phone. Matt Landman also is a flip phone guy.
Yeah, I carry around 2 phones in the daytime. It's fucking ridiculous.
Double the radiation,
Double the
fun.
radiation.
No. I try to get my radiation on my junk from the actual sun. And that was also a topic in the Rockfin chat. About
Putting your junk in the sun.
Yeah, sunning your testicles. It's
I've
good
done
for your
that.
testosterone. I did that today. It was actually warm today.
It's pretty funny. Maybe this is TMI, but
no,
the last apartment I lived in, like the sun would like beam onto my bed basically at a certain hour of the day.
That's
so I
perfect.
Could do it like from the comfort of my bed at like 4:00 every day in the
summer. Greenhouse for your balls.
Dude, that shit, like
that would be a selling point feature to me if I was looking for a place to live.
I believe that there's something to that because I don't know. I felt something. It's pretty funny though. But you just do it in the buck outside?
In my backyard. It's pretty risky. Like
nice.
Neighbors could check it out if they wanted to, but you know what? It's my yard. And it's all fine so far. Okay, though, I have a few more questions to give it.
Okay.
Former Vice President Biden wants to know, since we're on the subject of nudity, how often do you dance naked? If you do you find it to be a cleansing experience?
That's asking me?
Yes, I believe Biden is asking you, or maybe both of us.
I probably do it sometimes, like after a shower. If I'm playing music, and then if I'm playing music in the if I'm playing music in the shower, then in the shower. And yeah, sometimes I just catch a groove after the shower, but other than that,
so it is cleansing experience because you just had a shower. So
yeah, totally.
Okay, we got a yes to your question, former president or former vice president. I guess current president. He also said he saw a guy in Forney, Texas, in a Speedo holding a sign saying it's all love and raving hard in the center of a meridian on a major road. And he thought, this guy gets it.
Dude, I think the raving, we need to rave more.
I miss it. Cootie's Land definitely took away a lot of opportunities for live music. And I did have a shot to do live music last Friday night, and then I stayed home to do the movie night on Telegram. This is what the things you're missing on Telegram. We have a subgroup, the Mystic Nights of the Midnight Movie or something like that. And on Fridays, we all watch the same movie together and talk like MST 3K, you know?
Yeah.
We talk over it and discuss it afterwards. It was awesome. I mean, you were talking about super woke communism. There was a the movie
Trans
we watched
Marvel
last week was Zardoz from '83. You ever seen that one?
So it's like mystery theater. It's like corny, like B movies sometimes.
Not necessarily, but
because I love that.
Sometimes
shit.
B movies, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just older.
There's this thing that's like probably super leftist and but it's called Cathode Cinema, and they play these like really obscure B movies from like the 70s and shit. But I love watching that. I'm not a big movie person, but I love like sitting and talking through it and like making fun of everything in it. Other than that, I'm like almost like antisocial in the fact that I don't watch movies. But if I can
can't watch most movies unless there's someone that I can tell the symbolism to or make fun of it.
Right.
Too,
yeah.
I minored in film studies. So I took all these classes about analyzing film the way you would analyze literature in English courses. So the language of film is very obvious to me. And what goes on in the standard average Hollywood movie is such ridiculously obvious, like propaganda attempt and emotional manipulation. And it's just gross and it feels stupid. So most movies I just can't handle. But that being said, with the symbolic literacy of film, when you see a good movie, it makes it better. There's They're just rare.
Yeah,
I watch Zardoz. It's freaking funny. It's a really wild movie.
Zardoz.
Zardoz. It is the
Zardoz.
ultimate critique of the transhumanist dream.
Oh no.
It's the ultimate. Like the guy who wrote that movie definitely knew what the plan was for right now back in the 70s, and he wasn't down with it. And he tried to like warn people through the right brain.
That's interesting. I mean, a lot of people saw it coming, and it's here.
Oh, and Martin said there's loads of bare-chested young nubial women. That's true. They live in a perfect society in that movie, so of course they freed the nipple.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're so woke they don't even sleep. They just go to level 2 meditation.
That's crazy.
But by the end, the communism really does show up because everything's on fire and there's looting and ransacking. So,
get ready for it, people. It's here.
Okay, I got another question from the chat that has been hanging out for a while, so I got to scroll for a second to find it. But it was a good one. Oh yeah, I remember what it was. I can't find it, but Kaylee wanted to know if you could share a story about your Saturn return, because she's a Saturn in Aqua also apparently, and she would find it funny.
My Saturn return was between so it was
tells me everything.
It was like, the funny thing is, so in retrospect, Saturn, I'm gonna grab my ephemeris. I have to look at the dates here, but
no cheating. No, that's fine.
Hold on one sec.
Okay, that was more than 1 second, but you're forgiven.
Okay, so it was in 20. I need to be specific. It was it was like the worst Christmas ever. Kicked off my Saturn return because, yeah, that's what happened. So it was in 2014. Saturn was in Scorpio, getting to the end of Scorpio, and then on the 22nd the 24th, on Christmas Eve, Saturn entered Sagittarius, which is where my natal Saturn is, and that's in my second house of money. And so yeah, I just felt that shift immediately, like fucking like hit rock bottom in a way, like right around the holidays, and then basically through that winter, Saturn stayed in Sag and then went back into Scorpio in June of 2015. Sorry, this and then re-entered in that see, the reason I'm telling it this way is because when I learned about my Saturn return, I was like, the fall of 2015 is when it starts. But then when I was like really reflective on before that, I realized like that this time that it was like a really rough winter was the real beginning of the Saturn return. Then for that summer, it left Sag and then re-entered. But basically, this is like when I was telling the story about being with all the artist crowd, the whole span of the Saturn return from like 2015 to 2017 was pretty much getting like disillusioned and red pilled about the left. Like, because it was like the Trump
Good time
election
for it, so
the
that you
Trump
were already
election
prepared for what came next.
Yeah, it was like the Trump election, and I was very anti-Trump because of the people around me, basically, and I was just like going with the flow. But then, like I said, with like by 2017, I literally just saw like really the toxicity of the left in the arts, the way that like politics totally just like is the most unsexy thing to add to art, the most unsexy, like leftist politics. So just being like, obsessed with identity politics things is literally ruining culture right now. So like
it applies to all forms of art.
Yeah, that's why movies fucking
look
suck.
At how bad
that's
the
why,
left sucks at memeing.
and look how bad like Gen Z is at music. Like there's so many crappy like mumble rap, like face tat, like crap music. And also just, and it's because these art scenes that are supposed to be like fertile communities to like birth something really new and fresh and innovative, they're infected with a mind virus straight up. So if you try to go to any institution, like even the freaking school I went to learn guitar, like that's like some, I mean, I could only imagine, like, and I see people posting on social media, that my old crowd, about these events, and it's like super punk hipster blah blah blah, vaccine mask required, and I'm just like, that is like a boner kill times 10. Just like, that just makes me not want to fucking be near any of that shit, like within 10 miles, you know? So if like real ass creative people are turned off by it, I think I think most of them just fucking go with the flow, turn into a leftist, and do nothing. And like their creativity is ruined by it. Or then some are like so ambitious that they like weave through it and like push their art through it and have to be a woke artist, and then they're going to be canceled someday. And then there's others who are just like just disassociating with any of it and just trying to do something creative. And
So what you were seeing is basically like in Sag, having Saturn come into it during your Saturn return. It's like I see clearly who the enemies to the creative spirit really are, and you kind of what the war lines are, like the boundaries of the war on art, the war on consciousness. I liked what Illuminati just quoted. Apparently, he said he has a Zappa shirt on it that says "Politics is the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex."
it's
So good.
but I mean, even like, it's so beyond. So, and another thing that happened at that time was I really did set myself up to like, quote unquote, be an artist one way or the other. And the way it looks the way it looks now is like, yeah, I have a day job, and I play, I don't know, like 1 to 2 shows a week on average, sometimes more, sometimes less. But like, um, in 2017, I got laid off from my main day job and hit like such a rock bottom, because getting fired sucks, you know. And it was in my second house of money, and I was stupidly like I was living in the city and just blowing through money. Like when you live in a city, you're just like a hamster on a hamster wheel, like swiping your credit card from one thing to the next, and it's really stupid. But I was doing a lot of that, and then I got laid off from my job and hit this rock bottom. Then I had to like crawl out, started driving Uber, and then I drove Uber for like almost 3 more years before I ultimately moved here. And doing that it was hard, and it was like chaotic, and I prefer, like I said, having a stable job to being an Uber driver slash musician. But it's still like kind of set the stage, and during that Saturn return period was when I was like sort of had to struggle to make like to chase that like Sagittarian dream of like being an artist and being creative and not selling out or not doing something I hate. And yeah, that's kind of what I remember about it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's important lessons to learn. I was enjoying also the Rockfin chatters talking about how major so-called counterculture icons are often total intelligence agency ops. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Well, it's
I'm gonna,
funny you bring up counterculture, because I just recorded
we did an episode of your show about that once, or I came on and talked about that once on your show.
When I recently had a year ahead 2022 look ahead, the 2 other astrologers I talked to both brought up counterculture, and I really think it's about to like a real counterculture is forming right now. Um
It's more like it's the, you know what, to be clear with the language, you could say it's the real culture, or the
Yeah.
organic, versus the what we have had presented to us as culture has been counterculture. In the
Yeah.
same vein, I'll use the metaphor that whenever we get into some kind of holistic process or practice that's not connected to the allopathic medicine or the mainstream academia ideas or whatever the case may be, we get labeled as alternative, when a lot of times what's being championed is a more native perspective, as in natural, where you like aligned with the place we are and what kind of beings we are. And so
Mhm.
calling things counterculture too, I think that just like COINTELPRO is a thing. We're getting counterintelligence all the time. The mainstream culture is the counterculture, and
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents on that word.
Right. It's I think this is just me reflecting on like the astrology of today is actually similar to the astrology of the early 1960s, and also in a way the early 1980s, where it's like futurist, like almost like we're looking forward at these like crazy new futures, but there's also these like psyop things that are happening, like the Cold War was happening back then, the war in Vietnam was happening back then. And then I think the powers that be or whatever are like always expecting what the counterculture is about to do or what the rebel people are about to do, and then I
Well, they
think
control. It's controlled
then they
awakenings a
try to
lot of the
take.
time.
Yeah, exactly. I think these things come in waves, like waves of awakening. Like I think there were waves of spiritual awakening and like activation in the 1960s, but like I think the bad guys constantly like try to control it or put their assets within it, and I think I think that's about to happen again, like because there really seems to be like solidarity between people now who used to be of different walks of life, like really conservative right-wing people are getting along with really hippie libertarian people, and I don't know, I think a lot of people are like I think a lot of people are there's more awakenings coming, I think, in 2022, and um yeah, there it's going to be interesting though, just the counterattacks that happen from the powers that be to keep this fucking
I think they're floundering,
clown
dude. I think we're totally
yeah, that's
crushing. I
I
think
think
it's
so too.
a big panic stricken thing to create false deadlines and get as many people that are still gullible tricked as possible, but it's pretty much over. I think we're going to see a pretty amazing shift for our team next year. Because
Totally, I
once
think
you
so
realize
too.
the weapons of the enemy, so to speak, it's pretty much GG. We start making our own stuff, grow our own food, don't take their pills, don't eat their processed crap, quit taking in their propaganda. What more is there to it? it's that's it. And
Yeah.
then then maybe there's two societies that go from there to a degree. But
There's gonna
what I've been
yeah,
saying lately is death cults eventually they die out. It's kind of like their
yeah.
thing. So just wait it out. We'll
No,
be all right.
this shit ain't sustainable, and, like, I think the woke stuff, it's like cultural Marxism, like, it was created and designed to rot America from within, like, or just, like, rot our natural way of life from within and turn people against each other, put people in different groups, break apart the nuclear family, send your kids to the indoctrination schools, and, like, I think the destructive nature of that plan has taken over every major institution that they need to perpetuate it. And those like academia is fucking fucked. Like people are getting red pilled by this every single day. Like it was fucked when me and you were in college, but I mean any level-headed person that sees what these like Marxist professors talk about with like their pronouns and like they're masked up like fucking googly-eyed psycho, like you can just tell that that this is not going to remain popular against regular folks.
Well,
Like,
the difference is that at one point they were gatekeepers because they had the libraries and they had the equipment and they had the means of production, so to speak, for learning and education and research. But now, even with the internet as horribly crippled as it's been since we were first getting into it, the fact is the information is out there on our hard drives, even stuff that can't be found like on searches anymore. And
yeah,
we keep finding new ways to share it amongst each other. I think we've got a strong opportunity at this point to actually figure out what the hell has been happening on the realm in real life. Like, what are the ancient architectures? Where did that come from? What are the technologies ancestors really had? What point did the timeline get cut into the artificial history that the whole academic system was there to prop up? Very interesting stuff to like. It's an exciting time if you like to solve riddles and mysteries. And
oh
even if you
yeah,
don't, or if you don't care about that, it's an exciting time because the it's a like the opportunity in the world never has ever been better for innovating amazing solutions that help yourself and help other human beings. It's all doom and gloom on the screens, I guess, but in reality, when you get out there in the flow state of perpetual synchronicity and look for the way to fill the opportunity of like, well, what do people need right now? Like our friends Buffalo Rambler and Legs from the False Reality Check podcast. They just moved to Idaho and they were
yeah.
talking about starting a particular business to do a particular service. And as soon as they got there, people were suggesting to them things that could be useful businesses in the area. And they're like, yeah, we were already thinking that, opportunities there if you're looking for it. It's never been better because as the old systems fall apart, basically everything needs replaced. So we get to demonstrate what it means to build our own roads, so to speak, without the government and without the mafia. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to say like how deep the brainwashing will go. And like another reason this is such a great time to be alive is because like it wouldn't be a great time to be alive if it was a real pandemic. It would suck. But it's proven that it's
Shots
not.
fired.
This is not a real pandemic. We were treating it like this was going to be the Black Plague, like there's going to be bodies in the street. The bodies that they used in like the newsreels were straight up like dummies or people like smoking cigarettes. Like it's not real.
Oh yeah, I remember there was a body bag, but wasn't that from like a shooting or something? There's a body bag where there was you could see the body, the supposed dead body
The
had
guy was just like
holding a cigarette.
so
It's brutal.
And we saw the footage from this is like Chinese propaganda is fucking whack. Like they need to try a little harder, put more money into it or whatever. But when you see how bad theirs is, like did you see the the
It's bit of
Chinese?
propaganda when you have a bigger stick.
Did you see their moon landing video?
Oh
It was
yeah.
kind of a while back, but it was just like, and then it shows people clapping. I'm like, dude, this is horrible. But they gave that to us, and they give shit like that to us all the time. We still think we're going to the moon, like. So it really is like a lifting of the veil, and there's so much like scary, like tyrannical, like evil Nazi shit brewing, but these people are just clowns. They're clowns beyond belief. Like they have to be scary for the
Well, that's a
Nazi shit
theme
to
that
work.
I've recognized is that the clown crown it's the same word. Like there's even in languages the L to R phonetic switch that's super common. So to me, like I've stopped even a difference between like clown world is crown world to me. The whole mafia system that we consider governments, to me, that's clown world. Straight up.
Yeah, and
But
even with like alternative history and shit like that, like I don't even know. It seems like these people that are like running things now, we're not like
Chance and Dan. Really cool that you.
Sorry.
Oh, I heard someone talking.
Yeah, it's a call in from Legs.
Oh, nice.
She
What's
wanted
up,
to.
Legs?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. You can finish your thought, and then we'll flow into catching up on the call-in line because we haven't touched it yet, and there's a lot.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, we think of like royal blood going back really far, but I think some of these people running the show now are sort of like imposters, and they've been running the show for like a couple hundred years. But I don't know. Anything is possible, really.
Okay, you want to catch up on some memes?
Sure, yeah.
Here. All right. This is the point where if you're listening to the RSS feed later and you're not at the live show or watching the video playback, you're going to miss some fun memes, but I'll read them for people that aren't looking at their screen. When you astrology people start using terms that I don't understand, like his sun moon house is in the second room of his rising star sign apartment.
I feel ya. I feel that. I mean, it can be cringe, but it is like a language and a technical language.
Okay, this one I really identify with as a fire sign.
Yes, totally.
You're pretty chill for a fire sign, though. At least you come across that way. Maybe not on stage. You definitely got the main character Leo thing going on.
Yeah, I have Moon on the ascendant in the first house. Maybe that chills me out. And I have
Scorpio.
I have Mercury in Cancer, so
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I talk like Mercury in Cancer, dude. But on the inside, I'm just like sometimes raging, angry.
Yeah, I saw Peace Dealer, the YouTuber. He's an astrologer.
It totally sounds familiar, yeah.
He did this funny like series of shorts of what signs think they sound like versus what they actually sound like.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got to Scorpio, this was what Scorpios think they sound like.
I think I've seen
and this is what Scorpios actually sound like. It's like basically just RBF. But
yeah.
Okay. Continuing on. It's a full moon and Mercury is in Gatorade and everyone's having a meltdown, but you're feeling 100.
Dude, that's like like all the bad astrology, quote unquote. I just love it. I've been loving it.
I don't even believe in the bad astrology so much anymore. I just think it's like challenge or obstacle requiring action. And then that means it's opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, it's what it kind of depends on what type of state you're in. Like, I feel like there's the narrative of astrology happening above, but like you still have free will and there could be an opportune moment where you totally feel great under good astrology or totally get knocked on your ass by bad astrology, but either could also just not happen if you're not. It just doesn't always hit you the way the chart says it will. Like the moving chart day by day that changes. Like,
well, it's a big spectrum of possibility. So that's what makes the whole horoscope thing a little
it's open-ended and also like,
and it's a big conceptual system based on human ideas that are attempting to reflect nature, but is in no way as perfect as the nature that it reflects.
Yeah, like if astrology was like truly real, like I think it's most of the time between like a 0 and a 10, it's usually at like a 3. And then sometimes it is at a 10, but if it was at a 10 every single day, the moon would be just fucking moving and getting brighter, and people would just be like people would be like possessed or something, like, and going crazy. Like, you're using astrology to say like you're about to have a freaking meltdown or a fight or a conflict, and that could be like, it could be literal or figurative. It could be like or it could be just like 2 or a 10, and if people are arguing that it's a 10 all the time, they're wrong. Like, sometimes you don't notice the
I like
astrology.
I like how on your own show you'll say today's one of the days I don't even think I believe in astrology. And your show's an astrology
It happens
podcast.
like
I'm like,
all the time.
thank you for the honesty. That's great.
I wish I mean, I don't know. I wish it was more convincing. It still is very convincing, but like the more I'm doing it, the more I'm like, you can't be super dramatic with predictions and just be like, damn, like all signs point to fucking chaos on Friday.
The best astrologers tell you possibilities and they give you like they tell you things that open your mind to possibilities you weren't open to before.
Yeah.
And I think like that's the best. The whole gypsy fortune teller, like, oh, I see death in your future. Like the limiting thing, that's probably what gives it a bad name. But this is a total Virgo meme right here. Splish Splash, your opinion is trash.
Nice.
Virgo's always right. That's one thing that's 100% of the time, in my experience.
Virgos are always right.
Yeah, just what it is.
They are a lot of the times.
What time were you born? I don't know. I think it was around either 6 p.m. or 6 a.m.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and you'd probably get that annoyance as someone that does. You read people's charts like professionally, right? Or you have?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we didn't even say that.
But they have to have like you can't say 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. or I'll be like, no, we're not doing that.
So that one's pretty self-explanatory. I like that it's an owl.
That's me, although it's accurate, but like it usually is helpful when like I recently had something where I was like, wait, basically the person's moon was on the lunar eclipse that just happened. And I was like, how you doing? And they're like, funny you ask, like we need to talk. So
okay, this one's not astrology related, but it's pretty hardcore. This is a tobacco smoke enema kit from the 1750s. It was used to put tobacco smoke into a patient's rectum to resuscitate drowning victims. Okay, doubts about it.
Tobacco in the asshole.
You just like have this at the swimming pool.
Dude, tobacco.
Don't worry, I'll keep the pipe going so that we're ready for whenever someone drowns. Anyway, doubts about it. The credibility led to the popular phrase "blowing smoke up your arse," and this tool is still being used by the Cooties needle rape cartel. Okay, yeah, I think that must be it.
That's hilarious. COVID's needle rape cartel.
Oh, here's one. You know Lindsay, right? Yeah, so of course you do. This is apparently the Christmas card that Lindsay and Johnny sent around last year. This is just in the call-in line, so we're going through it. But this is the greatest Christmas.
Oh yeah,
card.
because they're like they raise chickens.
Yeah, they have 2 chickens. They're buddies. Can't remember their
Nice.
names. I should know.
Did you go to her house when you were out here?
No, I wasn't invited.
Oh, nice.
Okay, another one. Astrology is fake and you're stupid for liking it. That's okay. Why won't you debate me?
Yep, I see that a lot.
Yeah, I imagine you probably avoid the debates about it. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, I think I have like a dozen more to go through. Okay. Sun and moon sign decided how we go and react to some disrespect.
That's literally me because I have Leo sun, Scorpio moon.
That's a pretty cool combination though, because I just feel like Leo and Scorpio have a synergy as a light side, dark side, yin yang, really powerfully.
Yeah, totally. I mean, all the fixed signs and all.
I look
like,
at
all
the fixed signs as like
too.
the defender signs.
Yeah, totally.
And so
I'm all fixed, unfortunately.
How about that? Okay.
Not completely, but good amount.
Okay. Apparently there's an astrological moment in Scooby-Doo.
I'm Pisces, Shaggy. A Leo, Velma is a Virgo. Daphne is Gemini, and Scooby is an Aries. An Aries? My word, that is awful. That's great.
Wonder. I want the rest of the context. Did they just leave it
Scooby
there?
Aries.
I didn't know Scooby was an Aries. Why is that awful?
Shaggy's a Leo. Wow.
That's cool.
Velma's a total Virgo. Daphne, she could be Gemini.
See, that's what
I
I'm
would
talking
say
about. Velma, Virgo.
Libra.
That's actually totally right. They're always right.
Yeah. Scooby, I would think would be a Sag, but Aries is kind of close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. That's good. Is my cat a witch? Please confirm. Okay, that's a good one. Oh man, Zodiac's at a restaurant. See, this is where it gets a little too specific.
No, there's some good ones in there.
Resist the urge to flip over the table when the wrong dish arrives. Maybe I'm too close to the Pisces cusp, and that's why I'm so chill. But like
Capricorn configures a way to split the bill 14 ways. Accurate.
A Virgo could have done with a tad less rosemary. Yeah. Leo tries to sit at the head of a circular table. That's fun. That's a good one.
These generic ones make Scorpios like psycho. Just basically like a serial killer.
The generic ones make Aries pretty. They had the wrong idea about Mars.
Aries is like, let's fight.
I've never really been in a fight in my life, so it's not accurate. Maybe it's from Libra moon though. I'm just so emotionally chill.
So you were born on a full moon then?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And
I was born on a half moon, exact square between Leo and Scorpio. So there we go.
Nice. Virgo, allow me to get into something more comfortable. Gets in my car and leaves.
Nice.
Okay, this one's really clutch.
Dude, that's 90% of people out there.
So good.
Everybody's I see a lot of this person. I think they're on Netflix.
The new meme to me. Great. Horoscope. You probably breathing right now. Me.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing all these memes, guys. This one's really funny. So what does Saturn want to teach me this time? Saturn, every time. You are nothing but a stupid motherfucker.
Pretty much.
Okay, this one Lindsay shared. And then after we get through these last couple, I'll play.
That is pretty accurate. OMG, I knew it. I do that a lot. Like the other day, I was like, this day is pissing me the fuck off. It's like this bad Mercury day, but it feels like a fucking Mars day. And then I looked into it and it was Mars squaring my natal Mars. So I was like justified in being pissed off. But
so planets can square themselves what they're doing presently to your natal version of it.
Yeah, that's what transits are basically. So like if your sun is at 5 degrees Sag, on your birthday is when the actual sun is at around 5 degrees Sag, and that's your birthday, your solar return. But then like, so basically there's like the fixed birth chart that does not change your natal chart. And then the planets are like moving on top of it and then like hitting. So like one zodiac is moving and your natal chart is always the same degrees. So like if I should be more specific, but like this Friday, let's say the new moon in Sag might be right on top of like your sun in Sag, so like that's another way to look at it.
Okay, cool. This is a really funny one. First starting out in astrology and when you go deeper into your chart.
Nice.
Oh man, I'm just gonna flip through to the last one. Hope it's appropriate. I haven't pre-screened it. Oh, that's a good one. Who sent that one? Kaylee. So what's your source? The actual source.
Oh, nice.
Love that. Plasma Board 369 is a good Instagram page.
I love that account.
Super fun.
My favorite meme is I don't know if you heard the story. It was like a TikTok witch tried to curse Allah in the astral realm.
Like the god
Yeah.
Allah or God, I guess that would
So
be like
a
regular God
TikTok
technically.
witch tried to hex Allah.
TikTok witch. The fact that that's even a phrase.
And then she wrote a report. She was like,
Can you hex the original hexer?
this TikTok witch said, like, guys, don't mess around. Dude, I learned the hard way. Don't hex Allah. So, and there's these memes that
What
are like,
happened?
she was like, she wrote this long report that's like dead serious. Like, if you go into the astral realm, Allah is so powerful. Do not try to mess with him. Don't hex Allah. I'm like, dude, these TikTok witches don't know what they're messing with at all.
That's so funny. I just want to know why. Like, what happened?
Because he's the patriarch, or they, Allah's the patriarchy.
I guess. I mean,
it was like a really funny, like long report, and then they started making.
is that well? I
memes
get
about
why
it.
now. If it's a TikTok witch trying to curse the ultimate god of the patriarchy, then it would be like higher social credit score to then get fucked up by that and become a victim of it. Be like, look, see, I'm got all this extra victim point. Look, I created another way to be a victim. You haven't been victimized by Allah by trying to hex him. And I was only trying to do it for you. I was trying to do it for everybody else to stop the patriarchy. It's an ultimate loop. Like,
Wait, I think I found it on Reddit. It's called, is this it?
you need to screen
I
share.
tried to hex Allah. Not kidding. AMA. I decided to participate after a TikTok video called Witches to Action. I thought I was doing something good to fight the Taliban, but I screwed up. Call me an idiot. Do whatever. AMA. Oh, man.
So you're fighting that's hilarious. To fight the Taliban was the reason.
It was like right around the time we lost Afghanistan, and the TikTok witch tried to hex Allah.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Some of the responses, you literally are so fucking stupid and white and stupid. White people like you can't even be witches. What ancestors are you calling upon? The KKK.
Illuminati said against medical advice, like AMA, ask me anything, or against medical advice. That is definitely not advisable to go trying to hex giant egregore entities.
Allah. Dude, there's people circling that black cube every day. You don't think that Allah is gonna whoop your ass? But she learned the hard way.
I feel like I don't know if he's tuning in right now, but my friend Alan Marcus, for some reason, I think he would enjoy that story a lot.
There's really Float Universe posts the memes, and it shows like the hipster, like leftist cartoon girl, and then it shows Allah, and it said image unavailable. Yeah, it's funny as hell.
It's great, and it's really is two opposites in this sense, because the hipster is all about the image, you know.
Yeah, and she thinks she's like a fucking activist, like witches against the patriarchy.
That is hilarious. All right, I'm gonna play about a minute-long voicemail from Legs from the False Reality Check podcast.
Nice.
And since I'm bringing them up, I gotta say, our friend Slick Dissident Gabriel just was on False Reality Check, and they had a great conversation, and I think people would like it. So look that up. False Reality Check, newest episode, good one. And okay, here's the voicemail. So if it's a little quiet, people, just turn up your device or something. I don't know what to tell you. If you call in, speak loudly, because I have it turned up.
I love the call-in factor.
Me too. I'm gonna post the link in the Vibe Rant call-in group soon, where someone
I want someone to call in
live.
with like a really weird story.
Okay, you guys heard the man. You guys,
as
if you want
weird
to
as you
call in with
can
a weird
think.
story, you can join live and not just leave a recording. I will put
Something
the link
just
in there right
extreme.
now. Okay, here we go.
Chance and Dan, really cool that you are together tonight for Vibe Rant. Wish I could be watching live, but I will make sure to check it out once I am done with my class. But hopefully this
Class
week,
A.
I'm not too sure. But I have 3 questions for Dan and you too, Chance, if you want to jump in. I was watching Home Alone 2 recently, and the first one, of course. And what do you guys think Kevin McAllister's sun sign is? Also, is Chance really a giant in real life, Dan? And let's see, final question. What are you going to be doing for the upcoming Saturnalia? Love you guys. Looking forward to chatting soon, Dan.
I already forgot the first question. I was like, I'm a
Oh,
giant.
what is Kevin McAllister's sun sign?
Oh, Home Alone, right?
Dude, that's hard. Let me think. I want to say. I
I think
kind of
he's a
want to say.
Sag.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sag or Leo, maybe.
Just think about the time. The time of year. It's closer to Sag, right?
Yeah, it's totally Sag season.
So that's usually even a factor in Hollywood movies, weather not intended.
Kevin McAllister is like a punk ass, so
True, but he's like going to war,
no, yeah, so
and he's like always seeing them, and they can't see him.
yeah. I
And
would
he's
say
got a lot of
he's
ranged
either
attacks. Motherfucker's a Sag, I think, but I don't know. Just my
Sag,
guess.
maybe Scorpio.
There's
Just
more than
'cause
just
he
a sun sign in play.
yeah. I would say he has like the craftiness and manipulation of a Scorpio.
Yeah, fuck Home Alone. That's
But
funny.
he's also like rides solo, so maybe any of the fire signs I think, or Scorpio. That's my answer.
Well, that's like 4 out of 12. So it's
Yeah.
pretty good odds that you got it right. Like 1/3 chance.
Yeah.
All right, Snake Jones posted this for us. Coffee? No
Oh
thanks.
gosh.
I receive all the energy I need by charging my butthole in the sunlight.
Wait, Legs had 2 other questions though. One was,
Oh my
is
God, you're right.
Chance a giant? Yes, Chance is way taller than you would expect in real life because we hung out, and he's kinda jacked, as you can see, and he could probably beat you up if you messed with him, so don't mess with him.
I don't have any fighting skills though. I probably shouldn't advertise that. I just got the size, the
It's
intimidation
just
factor.
pure instinct when you really need to fight, but
That's probably true.
I have a battery charge on my record, unfortunately. So I'm not saying I'm a great fighter, but I have back in the day punched someone and got sent to jail for it. But that's another story.
All right, in the call-in line before we answer question 3, I posted the link so that anyone that wants to actually come on and talk to us real time, totally welcome. We'd love to take some legit serious callers. I mean, you don't have to be serious, but
yeah, this is like coast to coast AM now.
yeah, exactly. Get in here. Somebody get in here. I don't care who.
Anyone
Even if you
has a
called in last time or recently, there's no wrong
paranormal
answers.
story, alien encounter, cryptids,
Yeah.
angels, demons,
Why you think Dan is
fairies,
wrong
elves.
about everything? I would love if you got paranormal stories or cryptid stories. I would love that. But Saturnalia, what are you doing for
Oh, yeah.
Saturnalia?
Fuck.
Or will you be celebrating it as such
Well,
at all?
we're playing the Moonstone Quill is playing 4 shows for Fest, which is kind of Saturnalia, but
That sounds so cool.
it's like December 11th weekend. Then and we're learning some Christmas songs for December, and then I'm working my job's gonna be busy as fuck the day after Christmas because I work in like tourist, like vacation rentals. So I'm doing that, and then New Year's Eve we're playing a house party. So the only cool thing I can report on is shows with the band around then. But Saturnalia, like if it's the whole season, then just that, I guess. I guess that's my answer.
Okay. We got a caller. All right.
All
Got a
right.
good one.
Yo,
Here,
yo.
bro.
Hey, gentlemen, howdy.
Hey, Gordy. I
Good to
thought of
meet
you when we
Dan.
saw that meme of
Good to
with the
meet
owl
ya.
getting sprayed.
Of the what getting sprayed?
There was a meme about my friends getting astrology information they didn't ask for, and it's like an owl being sprayed with a hose.
Right. Excuse me.
So what's on your mind?
You said you wanted weird stories, so
Okay, let's
Oh,
hear
good.
it.
I mean,
yes.
I don't even. I've got so many. It's hard. All I live is weird stories, man. So I took my family to. Have I ever told? I think I told this on Spiders once, but I took my family on a ghost hunt thing, ghost tour thing of the Queen Mary, and there was spirits all over the place, and like trying to stalk my wife and daughter and like weird shit.
Where's the Queen Mary?
Long Beach.
Okay. Long Beach,
And
California?
yeah. Hmm.
Is it okay, nice. That's like a military ship or like a old ship?
Yeah, so it was one of the biggest ones that did the routes from the U.S. to Britain because of mail routes or something like that. It was just a giant passenger ship, but it was also used in World War II as a troop transport. And I think they got targeted, or a lot of people died on it apparently. But so me thinking like I'm gonna, prove myself wrong or something to that effect, going on this ghost tour, like it was crazy with ghosts and things moving, and my wife heard this voice of a guy go, I'm gonna knock that fucking thing right out of her hands. And the woman next to her had her cell phone, and it just went, just got knocked right out of her hands.
Wow. That's like what is it? EVP.
Yeah,
EVPs are weird like that. It's like, motherfucker. Like,
yeah. I mean, it was audible.
wow.
Since we're
Yeah,
talking paranormal stuff, have either of you seen Hellier?
yes.
Oh, you've seen it. Okay. I just got
Yeah.
Gabriel to watch it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have seen that. What did you think of that?
I
Yeah,
think
you
it's
first.
great. If those are authentic experiences those guys are having, which doesn't surprise me at all now. All the weirdness and connecting with the weird nature spirits through that. What was that? What's that experiment? That blind thing where they listen to the ghost box
Oh
and
yeah,
they
let me
just give
explain
out
that real
their.
quick. They came up with
That's a cool
this
trick.
method they call the Estes method for the fact
Right.
that they developed it at Estes, Colorado, at the Stanley Hotel, which is a hella haunted place apparently. That
That's where The
place
Shining was filmed.
right, The Shining, of course. That's connecting for a lot of people probably because there's so much talk about The Shining in our Telegram groups, but there's this idea of the spirit box, right, which is a radio that's kind of like a busted receiver that's just scanning from station to station rapidly. And paranormal investigators will use that to try to see if any odd messages come through the random jumping from station to station, in the sense of like you ask it a question and then it'll just be like, yes. Well, what the Estes method was, they used noise canceling headphones and they blindfolded somebody and put them connected to this ghost box or spirit box, but they can't see or hear the outer world at all. And they relay back what they think they hear through their headphones as the other investigators ask them questions. And it is the weirdest shit. They will
It's
get
creepy.
direct answers and they're like having a conversation back and forth. It's an amazing form of divination. Quite mind blowing.
I watched that whole
sometimes
thing
where they put Dana on it and she was wearing the transcranial magnetic stimulation helmet they call the God helmet. So she's getting her brain.
Oh yeah, that makes you like
stimulated
trip.
magnetically. Basically makes you trip balls while also on the spirit box. Pretty amazing.
I watched that on Amazon. I moved to Colorado right at the beginning of 2020. Started being a bellman at a hotel, and then everybody got real sick. And this was before COVID, right before COVID. And I was like sick in bed for like 2 days, and I binged that whole fucking show, and then like emerged out of it. And then COVID happened. It was just really trippy. And I've even heard people say that like the ritual that they did that like invoked pandemic, like it was like before the pandemic.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Wow.
Yeah, I wondered what the purpose of that was, because they never even
Interesting.
came out with a season 3 afterwards.
I
Not
mean,
that I think they're complicit with anything, but
I don't
it
think they
felt
were treating it like
their whole investigation, just to give people a slight recap without spoilers. This is a 2-season documentary TV show type of thing. It's like an internet TV show where these paranormal investigators get a tip about goblins in Kentucky in a town called Hellier coming out of old mines and caves and harassing people. And they go to investigate the goblins, and next thing you know, they're like finding out about satanic cults and people that came off of UFOs. And by the end of it, they're doing an invocation to Pan to summon the nature god Pan while in an old cave that looked like there were Masonic rituals done in it. So it was a pretty, I knew we'd get Gabe in here if we started talking to Hellier. He just watched it. Hey, what's up? People should check it out, though. I actually did an episode with Carl and Connor, 2 of the crew of that documentary, when the first season came out. And it's a very, very interesting, like, synchronicity path they go on.
it was a lot of Crowley.
In real
There was some
time.
Crowley in there too. Because what was that book called? It was like the Euphonauts book. Like,
Oh, right.
The Secret Cipher of the
Secret
Euphonauts
Cipher.
by Andrew Greenfield, right? That's the
Yeah.
author's name.
The sense I got from that movie was like this shit ain't no joke. And it's
Yeah, you
almost,
start to
I was
talk
like,
to it, it will
wouldn't-
talk back, whatever
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
It's like-
so let me finish. Let me
Yeah. We got sidetracked.
finish this story because before I forget, because it's like the whole point of weird is that night, that morning. So we had to stay there because I booked this room, and it's just tiny little rooms in the Queen Mary. It's in the lower deck, and it was the weirdest thing because after we got off this ghost tour thing, we go to bed, and my daughter was like maybe like 9 or 10, way too young to go on this thing with us. I'm like, she's fine, because like my daughter like has been talking to spirits her whole life, so I thought it would be a good thing, like for her to like kind of develop those kind of connections or something. That is fucking stupid, but because that night we get off the tour and they both zonk out, and I am flipped out. I'm like still kind of buzzing. But I'm kind of in that hypnagogic stage, right? And at the end of the bed, there's a big mirror. And in that mirror, I see this kind of that smoky tentacle-y thing kind of coming up in through the mirror. And I know this is bad news. Like, I'm like, holy shit, I'm seeing a fucking demon right now. And it looked like venom kind of coming out, like a kind of this kind of thing, but it looks like venom in its globular state. Like, have you ever read Maximum Carnage, where the symbiote is going from one thing to the other, and it's kind of crawly? It looked like that. And so I call out to God, and angels like showed up at the foot on my bed, on the sides of the bed, and I'm like flipping the fuck out.
Well, what did they look like?
They were men. They were gold men. Big, like a Plains Indian kind of look. Tall, buff dudes.
Some Knights of Wands. That card
Yeah,
just fell out of my deck.
And they had a staff. Each of them had a staff. But I'm flipping out, and he put his hand on my chest, and instantly I was like relaxed, and I knew he's like, it was just, this is what we do. I got this. And they took it away, and it was nothing.
Wow.
And
Spiritual Ghostbusters.
And,
wait, so you could spend the night on this haunted ship?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I think you still
I thought it was
can.
like
I
a
don't-
tour.
It is a tour, but they also run it as like a hotel.
Wow. That was a part of Hellier. The staffs, some of the supernatural sightings have a pattern of carrying implements of power, some sort of rod.
Man, I'm glad that you just recently watched it.
Yeah,
'Cause
man.
I would like to rewatch it. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too.
I watched it when it first came out. I just drew this card.
Oh, yeah. Is that one? The one of
The page.
rods? Oh, okay. The page. Nice.
So interesting.
So I got a couple paranormal stories that are kind of worthwhile, but I definitely want to talk some Hellier.
Since we've all seen it, now people are going to be really curious about it who
Yeah.
haven't seen it. But I'm sure we can
we
talk
should do
about
that
some
trick
situations. Do what?
We should do that
okay.
trick some night. I'll do it if you.
The Estes method?
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
It would
could be
really
fun. Yeah.
What do you need for that? Don't you need like a ghost box or something, or like?
I bet there's like
Yeah.
a digital internet
Mhm.
version of that.
But we could
Yep.
do a live stream like this. with-
Yeah. And Gordy, you'd
with
be good
that.
for it, man. You're a Taurus. You're nice and grounded.
Have
You'd
you
be
guys
good
ever
for
done Randonautica?
I'll take care of the protection spell work, I guess.
Yeah.
If we do it, because I feel like
Yeah,
there
we'll
should be
have
some.
to.
Well, let's
Yep.
talk about Random Nautica though.
Yeah, Dan, it's amazing you said that, because I'm quite convinced there's a correlation. I would almost assert that Hellier is almost a if it has any psyop component whatsoever, it very well could be like an advertisement for Randonautica. It
Do they use it in the
inspires.
show?
No, but the whole concept of it is setting up an industry for people who are seeking coincidence or synchronicity. It's going to build an industry for synchronicity.
Yeah.
I'm torn.
I'm
what-
torn too. I'm almost like,
Yeah.
no.
yeah.
To me, it
But
feels like the same as a synchronicity of when you see an ad for something you were just talking about, but you're too stupid to know your phone was listening to you.
Well,
Right.
there's a Cult Rejects episode where they dove into Randonautica, and it was kind of sketchy with the way like they were talking about like the black cube of Saturn.
Mhm.
So, but
Have-
I got
Yeah.
I got a ticket when I randonauted once.
I was just going
So
to
you've
ask if
done
And
you've
then I
done
was
it.
just like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore.
Yeah, there's your sign. Don't do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put the conspiratorial overreach into the picture right away. Like, let's just imagine, theoretically, missing 411 has caused a diminishing of people adventuring out into national parks. We all know about missing 411 and David Paulides.
Mhm.
So the word is out, and people are not going out camping like they used to. They're not adventuring like they used to. There's a big lockdown. And so one of David Paulides' most extreme ideas is he has said it's the pattern of these missing persons in mass is almost like a bulk order. It seems to have a pattern where it's as though they're fulfilling a quota on a set rhythm, like an economy. They're fulfilling a quota. And so these lockdowns might have put a hamper on, much like I think about because of the football games struggling, all of a sudden they had a whole season where every fucking game went into overtime because they needed to make up for lost revenue from the fact that they had so many shutdown games.
I did
It
not
isn't
know
that
that, but it makes perfect sense. Sports ball
Mhm.
being rigged as it is.
Right. So, in the same vein of reasoning, there have been less people going out and venturing out into the national parks, and now they need to make up for lost time. And so, Randonautica, sending people out into uncharted territory, could very well be a setup for more 411 compensating for lost quotas. And Hellier is definitely like one big commercial for all of that, theoretically.
Yeah, but maybe not intentionally. I feel
Right.
good about those guys having talked to them myself, but that
Mhm.
doesn't.
No, I feel good about them, but that's not to say
I
that
could
they
say they
weren't
were
being
led by
fucking
something else.
puppeteered by some entities and shit that
It
The
might
did
not
hidden
be
seem
very
like they were
good.
being like the show that ended up getting made had a lot to do with uh the path that they were led on without them deciding to go on that path necessarily. Like they followed where the synchronicities led, but in all my research into paranormal, it does seem like there's a big pattern of when people get involved with like trying to speak with entities of some sort, that they're led on a wild goose chase. And it's usually like at best it's just tears at the end. Like
Mhm.
at worst it's some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But wild goose chases are definitely a component to Hellier potentially. But what
Mhm.
was weird is how they did keep finding connections as they went. So I'd love to find out what more people think of that show. I would
You know,
probably need to rewatch it.
you guys know about the quartz corresponding with the missing 411.
I think
No.
I've heard of that.
So one of the things on David Paulides' lists, he won't take a case unless it has like a certain amount of these certain statistical anomalies.
Mhm.
And one of them is quartz, large quartz deposits.
Oh,
And that
quartz. I thought you were saying quartz, like
quartz. And so the one fella who I think is from Pennyroyal that they interviewed, and Pennyroyal is another good resource on this, he brought up the quartz and that it's one of the largest quartz in the country next to Arizona, out there by you, Gordy.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's tons of quartz out here.
And that
That's why
yeah.
these old mining towns are haunted like hell. They're
You know
crazy
what? There's
haunted.
a ton of quartz in Arkansas too, in the Northwest region. And there's in Eureka Springs, another springs, oddly enough, which is not very far from where I live. There's a big haunted hotel called the Crescent, and you can stay the night there. The Crescent Hotel.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quartz or something, but where I live, there's just sagebrush like in our yard, and I've heard something about like I don't know if it was that there's like some type of like underground stuff wherever there's just like sagebrush in these mountains because of like the soil composition. But I'm in a
Well,
mining town too, and it's haunted for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me think of, as Jenny said in the Rockfin chat, Zardoz rings. The rings they use in the movie Zardoz to communicate with each other. They have these
Big time.
clear quartz rings that run the whole AI system. It's all there. So yeah, I've personally had the thought about quartz deposits and crystal in general under the earth could be, because I'm looking at the earth as a living being, right?
Yeah.
Not just as this inanimate ball of dirt. And so what I would correlate that type of stuff to is potentially something that has to do with holding the memory field of the earth, because quartz can hold light and frequency and vibratory information in it. So could even be like a information highway. Like the quartz could be the nervous system of the planet. What information flowing from, your nervous system, it takes the information from your liver up to your brain and around to other parts of the body. So I think there could be something like that there. And because our electrical system, when it gets out of whack and it gets damaged, with physical damage in particular, you can get compartmentalization of energies that is akin to like a demonic attachment for the person who has this dirty electricity. And how much of our problems right now come from things that produce dirty electricity, right? So if electricity or bioenergy is consciousness, just in the form of whatever container it's in, or flavored like that container, then maybe there really is something to the quartz deposits leading to hauntings, because the earth has been wounded in so many ways that there is dirty electricity stuck in the under the soil, leading to like that whole stoned or a stone tape theory, which the idea that you have events echoing from the past in the same area, or that some people can tap into and see. Like there are stories, folkloric, sure, but of like cities in Europe where there had been previously, and this connects to mud flood ideas too, but there's old stories of cities where people will, like, on certain nights, they'll see Roman legionaries, but like spectral, walking through their home, like just walking through the walls and marching on by. But the ghosts are like only visible from the chest up, and the rest is underground, because there's like a higher elevation of the dirt now than back then. So anyway, all that ramble is just to support these ideas that maybe, there is a memory field that the planet has, the way that, in my opinion, and there's a lot of evidence to support it, that our memory is stored in the energy field around and inside our body, not in a specific physical, like written data on a computer chip hard drive type thing. There's no filing cabinet where you can, in your brain, where you can look at the exact cells that tell you what you had for lunch on February 3rd, 1999. But it is in there in your energy field. And when it's dissonant, that's when it sticks out like a sore thumb and becomes more noticeable. When it's coherent, it blends in with all of the rest of your energy, and the memories don't come up until they're called for, or there's some kind of link made to them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
hey, Jim's here in the chat. We got to tell everyone, since we're getting closer to the end,
nice.
on the Weaving Spiders Welcome channel tonight after Vibe Rant, we're doing another flow state, which is a live hangout where we do art and read stuff to each other and talk, and everybody just like chills and creates things. And it's really fun. I'm going to be there. Definitely going to be there. I've got a
Yeah.
new drawing going.
Nice. So the part you were talking about, this, specters that are cut off at the torso, reminds me of how Pan is half goat.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good link.
Yeah, and even in Greek mythology, Pan is kind of like a late arrival to the pantheon, but he's
The pantheon.
right. But he turns into his top half is a goat and his bottom half is a fish, which is the old school Capricorn sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sea goat.
Yeah, yeah.
And Capricorn means etymologically goat seed.
Well, is a ton of the constellations are from like the myth of like Typhon coming to the gods, and it's like Pan turned into Capricorn because he dove to the bottom of the ocean when Typhon came, and it's a lot of like, it's that story is like a serious apocalypse, like when like all the gods have to like come together to defeat Typhon. But a lot of the even like a lot of it is like the Hercules stuff. Like Hercules went and like killed the crab, or I'm getting it all wrong, but it's a lot of the Hercules and then a lot of like the Typhon stuff, which is interesting.
Yep. And go ahead, Chance.
Oh, we have a listener question for Dan, but we'll get to that in a second if you want to respond.
I just like to point out that Aleister Crowley gave the hand mudra, the two finger Typhon, 2-finger hand mudra, as a magical implement to Winston Churchill to proliferate the defeat of the Nazis. This is all a myth. This is what they tell us. So it's bullshit. But to some degree, we know that Typhon's nemesis was Zeus. That Zeus and Typhon were the ones duking it out in that mythology. So it implies that the swastika is kind of a Zeus-oriented, electric lightning bolt kind of symbol. But it's still to this day, there is a Typhonian order of, satanic magical proclivities. So I just like to point that out, that there are still people running around big up in Typhon in a major way.
V for victory, V for vendetta. Which is it? 22.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't V 22 in ordinal? It's a 22nd letter.
Yes. Yep.
That's what I thought. Okay, so our question for Dan: do you have any predictions or thoughts on Pluto in Aquarius?
Yeah. Either utopia or dystopia, depending on your perspective. Really, but like, yeah, I think
sounds right.
I think Pluto entering Aquarius is like like where we're heading, like right now Pluto's been in Capricorn from 2008 until now, and now it's at the end of Capricorn. Then when it hits 27 degrees, that's the US Pluto return. And this year on December, I can look because I have my ephemeris in my lap. On December 19th, Venus stations retrograde at 26 Capricorn. So that's the location of the big event. And then Venus is going to go retrograde, and then Mars enters Capricorn. Venus and Mars come together through Capricorn. And then around March 3rd, Venus, Mars, and Pluto are all at 27 degrees Capricorn, which is the US degree of Pluto in the US natal chart.
There's the 27 again.
There it is.
So yeah, between like we're already in that part of the story because Venus is retrograde in her retrograde shadow and starting to slow down, but inching towards Pluto. So yeah, between now and the very beginning of March is this like climax point of the US Pluto return. But then I can
Feels like it.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
in 20 when does Pluto enter Capricorn? Like 2024,
Mm-hmm.
Pluto enters Aquarius. So like I think they quote unquote know about all this stuff and play with it. And the goal, everyone knows the Agenda 2030 and stuff. Like by 2030, Pluto will be in Aquarius, Uranus will be in Gemini, and Neptune will be in Aries. So by the time those three outer planets enter those signs, which is going to be in this decade, you know, we're going to be in a totally different world. So I think, yeah, Pluto in Aquarius is very like dystopian. Pluto is like death and rebirth. It's like the deep urge for power, and it's been doing its damage in Capricorn on the US because the US has natal Pluto in Capricorn, and it took however 200 something years for it to come around. So then however this goes for the US will determine how Pluto in Aquarius goes. But you know, everybody knows like the age of Aquarius, blah blah blah. Like that'll be a major like dragging us into the age of Aquarius more so. But it nothing's ever all bad, but like dystopian metaversey reality is going to come through, and the bad guys are going to use it and the good guys are going to use it. So that's I haven't really dove too deep into Pluto and Aquarius, but that's just my like gut response, I guess, to that question.
Yeah, man.
Fascinating. I wanted to talk about something now that I heard Michael Wan speaking about. And he frequently comes up on my shows because he's one of my favorite people to follow. And he was talking to Mark Steves, who I recently had on InnerVerse, the host of My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. They do their Handbook for the Apocalypse weekly show where they just talk on the phone. And they were discussing the Macy's Day Parade and how there was all this pomp and circumstance about like native tribes approving of what they were doing and being part of the Macy's Day Parade. Very bizarre.
For this year?
Yeah. And
Okay.
the point that, like, to try not to belabor and explain this too long, the point that Juan made that was super relevant to where we're going now and why I'm bringing it up with you. If US is doing a Pluto return, that means everything has had a full return now on the whole sky clock. So we're getting back to kind of closer to the, like, it's a new giant bigger cycle, a new empire, not the old, it's not the same empire it was when it began. But what was going on at the beginning was the natives were selling their land, according to the mythology we get, for things like beads and trinkets. Like Manhattan Island was supposedly sold to the colonial settlers for a bunch of like junk, basically. Not that it's not like that art isn't cool, but you know, metaphorically, not any real riches or wealth in the way that we look at it now. Because the natives didn't really, this again, the mythology, they didn't really even understand the concept of who someone can own the land. No one can own the land. And why this is relevant now and why I think we're being reminded of all that stuff in Thanksgiving time and during the Macy's parade, possibly, and this is Juan's idea really, is that a lot of people are potentially having their DNA modified Or even if that's not really something that's happening, that's the story. That's what's in the woo right now that everybody's been believing for months. Like it's had plenty of time to percolate. Whatever side of the fence you're on about cowpokes, you've definitely heard somebody somewhere say that this is altering your DNA. So alterable DNA comes with patents on it, and patents have owners. And so are we maybe seeing like the next phase of colonialism, colonism, where the parasites get into and live generally in your colon. We may be seeing the next phase of that in the sense that people are selling the rights to their own body the way that the native cultures and the mythology sold the land, because they don't believe that anyone else could own their body. But on paper, they've already accepted the contract, just like the native tribes accepted the contract to sell Manhattan Island and all the other places. So it's like a repeat of the same thing, but now the incursion, instead of on the land, is on our bodies. But our bodies are an extension of the living soil. We are the land, just animate in a temporary, dance, but we go back to it. We came from it. We aren't really different from it. It's all made up of the same energy and spirit. So, and of course, no one can really own, like, those contracts are all false. But if you get tricked into believing that the devil owns your soul, then you might act accordingly. And so that's my 2 cents on the Alan says, bring on the colon complications for the colonialists.
It makes me think from an astrology point of view, like Uranus is like the rebellious planet, and Uranus is going to be in Taurus between now and 2025, and that's like I'm leaning on that as like a way to rebel against what's going on, because what's going on is prepping us for the technosphere, the technocrat control. But Uranus being in an earth sign, Taurus, is like the off the grid, the physical, the IRL way of rebelling. And then after 2025, it moves into Gemini. And then we're going to like have to bring the revolutionary spirit and the rebellious spirit to the metaverse or whatever, because it's like more of an air sign. So
you mean like we might have to be jacking in and going to try to free minds who are trapped in there?
Yeah, I mean,
man.
It's but like
we'll
between
have to
now,
lower ourselves to that vibratory rate to go in and be like, and not lose ourselves in there and then come back out.
Yeah, we got to go in the entrance of Hellier and go build Zion underground, and then come back for the age of when Uranus comes out to Gemini.
Yeah, and Neptune is moving into Aries, and Neptune in Pisces has been like, and this is all, so 2025 is the real turning point, because by then the planets will mostly be gone. But Neptune's been in Pisces since 2012, and little do we know, like, it's been an explosion of the woo, like the woo woo. But then when Neptune enters Aries, people are one way or the other going to be fighting. So like, I'm not saying it's like endless
over
war.
Stuff that they don't understand.
Yeah, it's like,
that's
so like
the joke about it.
It's going to be a different world after 2025. And I mean, these outer planets are always changing signs and stuff, but there's more. The main reason this is like a whole different world is because we're in a 200-year air cycle now, because of the last Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. They were happening in Earth signs every 20 years for 200 years up until the winter solstice last year. That was like the Star of Bethlehem thing in Christmas of 2020, or the winter. It was the winter solstice of 2020 that it changed from 200 years of making conjunctions in the Earth signs. Now it's 200 years forward in the air signs. So we're in an air era,
Big time.
And it's only, and then like the bigger thing is just, going from Pisces to Aquarius with the actual equinoxes. So this is all like this is prep, like December 21st or 20th, 2020, last year, the winter solstice, that really was, in a way, like the age of Aquarius kickoff, even though it's
man.
still kind of in between. But
Yeah. You know, I had a read on that event. It read very much like the kiss of Judas betraying the Christ. Jupiter being like Judas, kissing Saturn on the cheek by eclipsing it. And in that moment, I always associate Trump with Saturn with his big hair swoosh hairdo. And he was betrayed, and there was a betrayer came into the picture, and now we've got Joe Biden took over, right? I mean, like they were playing out the theater of the stars here in our social whatever, the theater of the politics.
Multiple types of stars, since one of those
Right.
people was a TV personality.
Celebrity, yeah. And
Hey, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go too late tonight because a flow state is a thing, and we can all go hang out there. So I want to move us towards the wrap up. If we want to finish up thoughts and collect dangling chads, that's totally fine. And I also had a question, Dan. Are you cool with possibly if I play a song off of your Moonstone Quill SoundCloud at the end?
hey, that's totally cool. That's like the only recordings we have, and we made those.
Do you have a preference of which one of these four?
Doesn't matter to me, but
Okay.
We just literally stood around a microphone and just played a couple songs, but we are planning on recording this winter. So yeah.
I had one thing, and I don't know if there's anything to it, but Chance, you and I were talking about the Omicron Perseus.
Omicron Persei 8.
Right.
The Omicronians
guy
from
from
Futurama.
Futurama. Yeah, right?
I know everything about Futurama, bro.
So I was like, oh, right. The stars, there's actually a place called Omicron Perseus. And so last night I went out and kind of meditated on that area because it's up in the, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's up in the Rennes Beltish area, correct? So I went over, kind of faced that and meditated, and it was like it's like a Q*bert drop. Remember the video game Q*bert when he would jump off the side and hear that?
Yep.
You know, you could feel that. I kind of felt that for something about that spot. So I think there's something in that weird star direction thing. But I wanted to see what Dan thought about that since you're astronomy guy.
Yeah, I don't really know much about that at all. That's a cool story for sure. I'm not really just familiar with Omicron or whatever that is as a star.
I was trying to Google it, but it really is a named star. It's in Perseus, you said?
Well, Perseus is significant because for a lot of different reasons, like
and they just had the eclipse there.
Chris Knowles talks about there was just the eclipse in Algol, and Chris Knowles talks about
and Omicron is just like right adjacent to Algol.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, that was kind of in time because this is the eclipse window, and the next one's on Friday, and that closes it out. But the first one was on Algol, so interesting.
And that's close to. That's not far from Taurus there, also, Gordy. It's interesting that you were drawn to put your energy there.
Yeah, Gordy's a Taurus sun, brother, mother.
So I got a short list of hanging chats. I'll just fire off real quick.
Okay, good.
So
thanks for keeping track of this, Chads. I lost them.
So 2025, that is a sacred number for Venus. Venus has a 225-day orbit, and I do believe that Venus is highly sacred to a lot of secret orders in this world. So I just wanted to bring that forward. And also, I think I just want to tell everybody to get into the etymology behind the word Pluto and Plato and governor. All of these are very closely related for very good reason, and it will make more sense about what Dan was laying down and what's about to happen in relation to Pluto. That's a very significant event. The most, literally, it's the most significant because it's the ultimate ring around the system that we're told we're in. So yeah, it has to do with governance. It's also called the tiller, as in like the wheel that steers a ship. But it is also relates to a tiller that churns up the earth. And when you think about the stars and stripes, those rows of red and white stripes, those are, some could say those are, the cotton fields and the blood that was spilled in the fields. And some could say it's the sugarcane fields. It has a lot of significance, but it definitely is something people should look into. All the nomenclature behind Plato and Pluto and governance. It's a lot to know.
Whenever I hear the
Right on.
PLAT, I'm start thinking of plates. I start thinking of John the Baptist's severed head on a plate. I start thinking of UFOs. I start thinking of placenta. There it was, bingo. Someone just got a bingo. It's a placenta. Cotton and blood. That's thanks for that. Jim.
Yeah. Good to meet you, Dan.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys too.
Hey,
Thanks for
yeah,
coming
Dan.
on.
Yeah, it's good to meet you, man.
This
Both
is
of
a
these
fun
guys have been
hangout
good
for
Cosmic
sure.
Keys guest candidates, just so you know. They got
Yeah,
good
if you-
stories and good ideas.
Hell yeah.
If you're ever open some Saturday night, you should come on Weaving Spiders.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
totally.
all of us are spiders in here. Spider team.
Yeah,
Amen.
man. Hell yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. When I look at Sirius through my telescope, I see red upon white upon blue. Yeah, well, the Syrian connection is a deep one. Illuminati, big time. Someday, maybe I'll digest the work of Pierre Sabak. Big bingo, ShukeDaddy. Yeah, come hang out with us on. Someday I'll get Pierre Sabak work out there and talk about the Sirius connection more. The red, white, and blue is a good point. Thanks for that. But yeah, go Team Spiders on the Weaving Spiders Welcome YouTube channel. We will be live soon to do our Flow State Art Hangout. And Jen Brewster on the Rockfin chat said tomorrow is Lindsay's birthday, so people
Oh, it is? Oh,
All
cool.
right.
wish Lindsay a happy birthday. Yes, indeed. Love to the
Good looking
Sages
out.
out there. Happy birthday, early or belated, if yours is soon. InnerVerse Podcast is a Sag. Maybe I'll have you look at the chart of the podcast itself someday, Dan. That'd be fun.
Right on.
And this is also a palindrome day, and there will be many because it's 12/1/21.
Oof.
Yeah, this whole month will be full of
Awesome.
palindrome dates.
Awesome.
Well, I'm gonna hang out in the chats while I play us out with this song. But
Which one are you playing?
I was good. I asked.
Well, just because I'd rather have you play one where I'm singing versus one where Nate's singing.
Yeah, see, that's why I wanted to know.
Because we both
is
both
I'll
sing.
Come Running Back one where you
Yeah,
sing?
that's one of mine. So you
That's
can play
what I was
that.
All right, cool. I definitely want people to hear your guys' music. So
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chance. This was a blast.
Oh yeah,
And,
just plug everything again, just in case people didn't get it.
Cosmic
linked
Keys
in the show notes.
podcast on all podcasts, and then the band Moonstone Quill. And yeah, I'm on Rockfin, so many of you just check out Cosmic Keys. That's about it.
Last
I'm
thing,
hearing a little echo.
A man, a plan, a canal, Panama, longest palindrome. Good one, man. All right. Okay, I'm gonna play this track. Looking forward to next time we get to collab together, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chance.
And 1, 2, 3.
stop a rambling soul. I settle down and I'm ready to go. But when I get further away, I hear your voice and you're calling my name. Well, maybe I could let it there. My heart won't let go of the love we had. Maybe I found nothing new. Every mile that I'm further from you.